Hey guys, welcome to another session of RBTL, or Reading Between the Lines. Just my thoughts on the updates. I'm actually going to split the video here because we have a Charles banner. So I'll most likely be putting together a couple of my Charles montage clips and then just doing kind of like a revised review on Charles. Early on, I already talked about it, but anyways, I talked about him rather. I'm gonna tell you guys that right now, 100% pull for Charles if you don't have him, and I'll give my reasons why in a brief summary here. Anyways, we have episode 2, chapter 7. I'm catching up on the story myself. Story is very interesting. I'm at 5-2, near the end, almost at 6. So I heard there's some spoilers at 6, but I haven't. Well, I kind of spoiled it. I already kind of know what happens, but anyways, we'll see what happens here. But chapter 7, it's great. New AP shop. The ring is sort of to me. Crit chance, speed, health, and effectiveness on a destruction set with attack. I mean, it's better than nothing. Better than mine. Actually, just a couple streams ago, I was showing the stream that I had got a T60 blue destruction necklace from the third labyrinth, and I rolled that just because it had like 1 crit damage substat. So this could be an improvement in some ways if I get like really high crit chance or something. But yeah, that's okay. Waiting room. Now this is an interesting one. Now I know that a lot of people were shared their thoughts with me on this. Like, what do you think about the waiting room, Jagan? And when I'm like, what is that? They kind of briefly explained it to me. And to me, this is a nice kind of addition thing. But I feel like at least maybe some people consider me a whale. Maybe it's how whales play. I don't find a waiting room very, very useful in terms of like all of my spares are always in the storage. So I always make sure I have enough fodder farmed, or I pull the friendship points in order to make sure my inventory is filled, so it goes to my summon storage. But now the waiting room, I do get it. So like for maybe free to play players who are not able to like fill out their inventory space all the time when they're summoning for stuff, they're gonna get a lot of junk in there, and once that's in there, you can't move them. So I get the waiting room concept, but I almost feel like they're not fixing. There's something wrong to me in the fact that this like wasn't already part of the game, or that they're just not fixing the inventory in a way that you don't need the waiting room. So to me, like for those of you who know me, I work as a UI designer. So when I see like they just plop up like another icon in this, and for the functionality of it, I feel that it's like super. It's really hard to explain this, but it feels like it's very separate from the core functions of the game. I just feel like this is so extra. The storage, to me, the storage function made sense because as you were summoning, when you capped your inventory, you would have to actually clear it out, which is really annoying. So to me, the summon, the storage for the summoning part like made total sense, but the waiting room feels like a band-aid. Came a bit too late, but anyways, that's my thoughts on that. Regardless, it will be useful, like I said, for newer players, but I think the basics are you can't have them locked, you can't have them in a team formation, you can't have them on a mission, and if you do put them in your waiting room, you will spend the gold to unequip, so you can't put in any artifacts, any equipment into the waiting room. I actually don't know the reason. Maybe it's just because they don't want you to, have free gear space, I guess. See, to me, it would be really great if the waiting room was changed to like a inventory room. Like you call it, like, I don't know, what do you call it? A loadouts locker or something, something really cool like you see in the movies. Someone just like presses a button and then like their closet opens up and it becomes like it's like a gun cabinet or whatever. Something like that. I think gear is probably the biggest problem, not so much heroes, but then again, like I said, I do understand if you're free to play and you can't really move stuff, and I do have like some junk that I don't I'm not using, so I guess I would put it into the waiting rooms. For example, like Xeno. For those of you who have Xeno, he's most likely 6-starred, sitting there triple S ungeared, no awakenings or whatever in your inventory right now. So I can move stuff like that. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, I'm just saying that it's an unnecessary thing compared to, let's say, a gear lockup or something like that, So yeah, anyways, and you can expand the waiting room for Skystone. I really don't see myself doing this one, but again, I can see that some people may. I just don't see it right now. My storage is at capped 900, like 99. It's at capped, but it's way over 99 in terms of like the units in there. Like I have some 5 stars, I have 4 stars, I have 3 stars, I have ML units in there, artifacts sometimes, but artifacts I usually do clean out for powder. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the waiting room. So if they had spent a lot of time doing the waiting room, in my opinion, I would prefer that developers start pushing out content, like actual content, more than just doing that. But that's my thoughts on it. Sorry if that sounded like shady or toxic, but I'm just my thoughts. It's been my thoughts for the past like 2 days since people were telling me about that. New exclusive equipment. Again, quick thoughts on this as well. Shadow Rose. I will say though, this batch is probably like not super hype compared to like a Charles exclusive equipment, Surmi exclusive equipment, those batches, even Kayrons I would say, because Kayrons had crit chance, so that's pretty amazing. But effectiveness on Shadow Rose, I kind of wish she got speed, because Ice Rose got speed. I almost wish that she got speed. I don't see her being used too much still, like outside of where she's already being used. I would say the best one out of this one would be the probably Goddess of Ruin 2. So increased combat readiness and decreased combat readiness by additional 5%. So it's 30%, back and forth. I mean, they're all usable for certain scenarios, but again, I think in the places where you would use Shadow Rose anyways, you may stick to the Goddess of Ruin 2. But anyways, that's my quick thoughts on that. And the cigarette ended up being a bit underwhelming, other than the 14% attack that she gets from the actual equipment itself. Everything else seems a bit kind of not so usable. So for example, for Smash, you could do it at 75% health remaining. One of the areas where like you would use cigarette would be like one shot Wyvern team, and at a 75% proc rate for Smash for the S3, it's not really helpful on a Wyvern. If you're playing on in the PvP and you're using cigarette, if you don't hit 50% remaining health with Smash, there's something wrong with your build anyway, so you wouldn't really benefit from that S3. Not saying that they're not usable, it's just that the cases of usage seems very low. I would say for Cigarette though, I would say the S1-1, so increase sever by 20%, is probably the one I would probably go with, most likely, because if you go soul burn, 20 soul burn in Cigarette's kit, you can go to the S2 immediately if their HP is under 50%. So go into no wait, was that no, it gets an extra turn, and then you do the S2 and then under 50% and does the S1 into sever. So 1.2 mod, and if you do that combo, it does a 1.7 mod to a 1.25 the S2, and then this one would be a one times mod with 20% on sever, so it treated as a 1.2 mod on the S1 there. And then fire Akates or Akades, depends how you say it. I don't like anything except the S3, but it's almost like a default into the S3. Rapid Cure is the S2, which already casts invincibility, so if you increase the amount recovered in terms of HP from Rapid Cure, it's kind of weird, especially if you're using the Fire Akates, I guess like rotation, where S2, S3, S2, S3 into herself. She's actually a really strong healer, and she keeps herself alive. And if that is the case, I would definitely recommend using Curing Prayer. So they increases the effect resistance of the caster by 2 turns when using Curing Prayer. So you pretty much have an extra 50% effect resistance on her at all times if you are cycling S2, S3 into herself, or S2 into herself and then doing the S3 for the rest of the heal. Her main stat is good, of course, definitely usable, 14% health. Being a Gemini, she has low base health, so every bit helps, so that's going to be really great. So yes, I think default Akates to S3, and everything else I wouldn't even bother using. So that's my thoughts on that. And of course, Charles and Justice for All, like I said, I will make a separate video for that. Most likely do a video and explain why he's so good. If you're a new player, hopefully you guys got some refund from that Alencia banner. use it on this banner. Use it on this banner. Charles is 100% worth it, and even getting a triple S, he's 100% worth it. And the reason is because his imprint, concentration, and release are both critical hit chance, and they're both really high. So it's like both of them are 14%, if I remember correctly. So if you pull for triple S and you imprint concentration him, then it takes a lot less gear to get him that maximum critical hit rate. And if you do have really high critical hit rate rolls and you want to support the rest of your heroes, you can use the imprint release on that. But anyways, that's just the tip of the iceberg there. Tip of the iceberg. 100% worth pulling it. So if you guys don't even watch that video, which I'll post at a later time, pull for him now. Like, you don't need to question it. Just pull for him. All right, just do it. Just trust me. He's worth it. He's probably the only RGB unit I would say that is at an ML level, or even more OP than some of the ML5s. So I would just put it that way. A lot of quality of life stuff happening as well. I think that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to really cover. So I'm gonna end that there. I know that's kind of like a tease there. Usually just the same, of course, week 3, but and this is a rerun for me, so I'm not gonna be too excited about that. UI improvements on the bottom, but yeah. So I'm gonna end up on that Charles teaser there. So I'm gonna end up my thoughts on this session of RBTL. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server. Follow me on Twitter and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.